Hey everybody, it's Keith with the Common Sense Practical Prepper podcast with your 1-minute survival tip for July 30th, 2024. This will be a bit longer than a 1-minute survival tip, so I want to get a few things off my chest. First of all, your mental health. Your mental health, in my opinion, is paramount. Your mental health ranks slightly above your physical health, especially when it comes to stressful situations, whether it's day-to-day life or SHTF situations. But I think that someone who is maybe a little overweight, maybe a little bit out of shape, but is mentally sound, perhaps may have a slight advantage over somebody who is very physically fit, but maybe not as mentally sound. Now, this past weekend, I stayed away from social media as much as I could, and I believe it was Sunday. I was online a very small amount, just to check a couple work emails, a couple work messages. And then for the most part, I was out from dawn to dusk, working in the shed, working on the yard, and hanging out with the chickens and the cats. Okay, here is the political part of my little post. So feel free to go ahead and turn on your favorite music or listen in if you wish. I've decided to go ahead and take a hiatus from posting my podcast, my little survival tips, because I think that when at 100 days, 90 some days until the election, that this election is basically going to define the next several years, if not several decades here in the United States and how things go. I'm a firm believer that if Harris and her administration is elected, that whatever the current administration put into place as far as taxes, social justice programs, Green New Deal, all that stuff will absolutely be accelerated and go on steroids. If you remember correctly, 2020 election, Harris polled 1% and dropped out. Very unfavorable. Nobody liked her. She is very far left. She is further left than Bernie Sanders, and that is saying something. So she is, for the most part, not a very good politician, basically has no agenda other than Trump sucks, and that's about it. So I am also a firm believer that if Trump is elected, the previous administration gets back in, that prices will go down, inflation will go down, he'll get us out of these wars, and everything will be in really good shape for at least that 4 years. And then maybe after, who knows? Now, the media. If you think that the media, the mainstream media, left and right for the most part, if you think that they're being fair and unbiased, you're doing it wrong. Now, if you recall correctly, everybody with half a brain, whether you want to believe it or not, has realized a long time ago that President Biden was in mental decline. It's just a reality. It was so evident. But when you brought that up, even recently, about a month and a half ago, we were told those were deep fake videos. That was not him getting lost on the stage. That was not him shaking the imaginary hands of people as he was leaving an event. We were told those were all fake. Now we have the debate. Maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that, he does terrible in the debate. And then a week or two after that, he needs to step down. Oh no, I'm not stepping down. And then lo and behold, on some Sunday afternoon, some post on Twitter or something comes out, and not even presidential letterhead, that he's going ahead and not seek the nomination, and that Harris is going to be the presumptive nominee. Whole different story about that. But again, in my opinion, I'm a firm believer this was all set up for him to fail. This is all just part of it. Now, Harris has done nothing as vice president. If you think she's done something as vice president, again, you're doing it wrong. She was the border czar, but then she wasn't, and she hasn't even done anything as far as that goes. So now, we didn't know a lot about Harris when she was the vice president, but we knew she was very unpopular when she ran for president, and then she was picked as the vice president, and she hasn't done anything. If you can just listen to some of her speeches, how she talks in circles, she talks in rhymes, everybody makes fun of her. Okay, fine and dandy. So now when we were told Biden was great, sharp as a tack, the smartest guy in the room. And then 3 weeks later, as soon as the debate was over, everybody in the media switched their tune, just like flipping a light switch. Oh my gosh, what has happened to Biden? I don't think he can be president. He might have to step down. It's so funny. It's comical. So I'm not sure what's worse, the media who puts that out there or the people who believe what the media is telling them. Absolutely insane. All set up from the beginning, all orchestrated, and we know who is behind all of this. So Biden is basically told, you need to step down. You're not going to be the nominee, or we're going to 25th Amendment you, and that's going to look even worse on your crappy record. And Kamala's going to step in, and then he's just going to keep a low profile. How he does that with the Middle East on fire is beyond me. So anyway, this is all planned out. Now, all of a sudden, now that Harris has stepped in, the media, oh, a great prosecutor. She's going to save us from Trump, who is a threat to democracy. It's really funny. The people who basically pushed Biden out of office, a silent coup, nobody is going to be able to vote in the Democratic primary. All the people that were going to vote for Biden, all the delegates, it's all gone. So for someone to lecture the right on being a threat to democracy, that's exactly what we're seeing here now. And nobody's going to be held accountable. Nobody's going to be called to task because the media is taking their marching orders. And now Harris is just the best thing since sliced bread. She has no platform. She might have a platform in a few weeks after the convention when somebody tells her what to say. But currently, she's just talking in circles, talking in rhymes, and she's not making any sense. All the left has is, we hate Trump. He's a convicted felon. And then what Trump has is all the things that he accomplished in his 4 years. So don't even get me started on, what is it, white guys for Harris, white males for Harris, or whatever that little grassroots organization is. What a joke. So I'll get off my soapbox. I need to concentrate, as I have been, on two scenarios. I am going to prepare for the worst, but expect the best. Both prep-wise, both financially, both everything else going on in my life, my career, retirement, everything, investments, everything that I'm doing now basically hinges on the election in November. If Harris, I guess left over the previous the current administration, she stays in office, I've got a whole set of plans I'm going to try to set in motion to protect myself, financially, basically financially, to be able to have enough money because taxes are going to go up. Don't think they won't. And we're going to be paying for, and who knows, a couple more wars. If Trump gets back into office, again, a whole new set of financial plans, of financial things I'm going to set in motion. And it would obviously benefit anybody, not just me, anybody, that if he was to get into office economically, financially, mentally, it would benefit every single person in the United States and then people around the world. To think that somehow if Harris was to get in that we would prosper is absolutely ridiculous. Amnesty for all the illegal immigrants coming across and put just a bigger stress onto our healthcare system and our educational system. So for those folks that are still prepping, please continue. Don't stop. You may want to accelerate things. There are plenty of information out there, my podcast, all sorts of folks on YouTube. And please don't take the word of some fancy Hollywood elite. This is what I think about actors. Actors get paid to be somebody they're not. I don't know any professional actors. All I know from actors and actresses is what they portray on the screen. They're a bad guy. They're a good guy. They're a funny person. They're a mean person. That's them pretending to be someone that they're not. So when an actor, actress comes on and gives you their opinion on what they think about politics, what do they really think? Is that their real opinion, or are they acting? Now, folks that are financially insulated from high taxes, inflation, the mega rich, your folks in Hollywood, the elites in Hollywood, they don't care what's going to happen. They honestly don't care who gets into office because they are insulated from that. If Trump gets back into office, they make a lot more money in their investments. If Harris gets into office, then they don't make as much. They get taxed more, but they're going to put on a happy face and say that everything is fine. To an extent it is, because they are financially insulated from taxes going through the roof, capital gains, taxes on unrealized gains, and that sort of thing. So don't listen to the Hollywood elite. Don't listen to somebody who gets up on the stage and sings their little songs and tells you who to vote for. These folks that are very, very wealthy to fly around the world in their private jets, and you know who I'm talking about, really have no opinion or no coherent thoughts on their own about what they really believe. They are spouting what their sponsors, their handlers, and the people who write the checks tell them to say. It would be really, really funny if somehow we could speak to these people privately and they could really tell you what they think about politics or the economy. I bet you if I had $1 that a lot of them, at least half of them, would probably do a 180 and say, look, the stuff I've been saying about so-and-so and such, I don't believe that. I'm really much more conservative or much more liberal, whatever it happens to be. I think you would be surprised on what people would say in private. All right, folks, thank you for listening in. Thank you for listening to my little podcast. Thank you for listening to my survival tips. Again, I'm going to take a break. I am going to circle the wagons and crunch some numbers and get some things together, because I think that come November, regardless of who wins, it's going to be absolute chaos for probably several days, if not several weeks. A lot of people are not going to be happy. Half the country is not going to be happy, regardless of who wins. And I think that, along with the Middle East and the failed assassination attempt on former President Trump, I think all of that sets us up for a very, very spicy election season, and even a more spicy post-election season as we come up on the holidays. All right, folks, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at practicalpreppodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again.